Welcome to the space for transformational leaders to unleash their magic, see better client results, work lighter, and live sourced. Hi, this is Darla Ledoux, founder of Sourced and author of Shift the Field, and welcome to today's video in our Old Tired Path series. The Old Tired Path is representing of an energy pattern or a default energy in the language I like to use that is running the show for us and gets in the way in our business and in our life. If you want to learn more about the overview of the Old Tired Path, watch the first video in this series where I dive into that in more detail. Here, we're going to dive right in to a particular Old Tired Path that is super common among entrepreneurs in our space who want to live a life of ultimate freedom and not be tied down, right? And have flexibility and financial freedom and all of those things. So I have crowdsourced these old tired paths from our clients who have worked through them. And so I have some specific ones that I wanted to share. And today we are talking about the old tired path of being dependent or independent. Or another way people described this was trapped or free. So I'm going to start over here and talk about this idea of being independent or free. So let's say you, by the way, the old tired path is always based on a past and trying to control a future. We're going to try to be a certain way to avoid a pain we experienced in the past or we witnessed someone in our life experiencing and we decided, I'm never going to be like that. I'm not going to have that happen to me. So let's imagine you're a human in a female body and you were raised by a mother who was, in your opinion, dependent or trapped. Maybe she didn't have financial freedom. Maybe, she played the stereotypical role at home and you judged that. And you're like, I am never going to be like that. I am going to be independent and I am going to be free. Or maybe you had a parent that told you, actually, we had a client just recently working with this where her mom said, never depend on a man, right? You need to be independent. You need to make your own money. So you maybe got programmed that way, or maybe you have this in response to what you witnessed and you said, I never want to be that. Okay. So this then becomes a filter through which you see life. And so you think, if I focus on being independent and free, then I'm free, right? Then I'm going to have the life that I want. But if you're focusing on trying to be independent and free to avoid being dependent and trapped, you are not actually free, right? Because it's the same energy. And that's the point. This is the same energy on both sides. It's opposite ends of the same coin. So if you're wanting to be independent and free, here might be some things that you experience. You might experience doing whatever I want. Okay, so if that's your goal, I'm going to do what I want. I am going to not commit to one thing. So we see this a lot. If someone wants to just be free and like they don't want to actually make a decision, this is what I'm about, because it threatens this and they start to feel trapped. The moment they inch toward trap, they're like, no, and they come back over here, right? But it's still on the same path. Keep my options open. Maybe I am going to do everything myself, right? Because if I, let's say, hire support and then I have to wait for them to get something done on their timing, and that makes me feel dependent and it makes me feel trapped. So I'm going to just do everything myself. I'm not going to ask for help. I am going to, then I can make all the choices I want on my own. I'm not going to ask for help. I'm not going to commit. I'm not going to be tied down. I might start to feel lonely or alone, right? Maybe a little disconnected. So then what about over here? So if we are doing everything ourselves, we don't want to commit, we keep our options open, we're in charge, right? Eventually, living life that way is going to make us feel dependent and trapped. We're going to feel trapped by the very business that we created to create freedom because we're doing everything ourselves and we're so busy and overwhelmed and weighted down that we actually feel this, right? What we're trying to be this and we end up over here. So let's look at dependent and trapped. So someone, dependent and trapped could end up being needy, right? Like, oh, I need this person to survive. They might feel tied down by a person or a situation financially. They might feel pressure, right? Like pressure of being trapped, right? When you think about being trapped, there's pressure building up, right? They might feel like they're in resistance. So I feel trapped and I'm resistant to that. I'm angry. I'm resistant. I'm angry. I might feel helpless. Well, guess what? I want you to look at this, and you might be surprised to discover that these end up being pretty much the same. Over here, you probably feel alone, even though you're maybe with someone, right? The fact that you don't feel free is going to feel isolating or alone. So the more we try to be free, right? Do what I want, not commit, keep my options open, do everything myself. I got this. And now you've created a life and a business where you're alone and you're responsible for everything. And it feels heavy and pressury, and you feel resistant and angry about it or helpless to make a change because you don't dare depend on someone because that would make you over here. And so you have to stay over here. And then you're doing all the things and then it feels heavy, right? And it's back and forth and back and forth. And you're not actually free. The judgment that I don't want to be dependent, I don't want to be trapped, the fear of being trapped is actually trapping you. The fear of being trapped is actually trapping you. Are you resonating with this? Is that landing for you? If this sounds like you, let's see what we can do to shift the field here. Okay? So the first thing you want to do is you want to be present to the impact of this. So if this is resonating, if this sounds like you may want to pause the video and journal for a little bit. What is your version of this? What has trying to be independent and free, trying to avoid being dependent and trapped actually done in your life? What's the impact? Because we don't shift a pattern until we're present to the impact. Because the truth is, there's a whole other way to live that has nothing to do with being independent or free, right up here. But until we're really present with the impact of this, we're not going to make a change, right? Because up until now, not being dependent, not being trapped was more important to you than than like the possibility of living life your own way, really. And so you've stayed in this trap. So when you're present to the impact, when the impact is greater than the fear of actually stepping out of here, because guess what? You've been doing this for many, many years, right? Most likely this habit was developed before the age of 7, right? You've been judging this or feeling one way or another. And to step out here is risky. And so there has to be an internal commitment to make that shift. So that's what I want you to get present to right now. And if you are present to that, then let's take the next step, shall we? So here's the question. In the book, I call these my magic questions. The question is, if you were no longer concerned about this, if it weren't a badge of honor to be independent, if it weren't shameful to be dependent, or if you didn't expect to be dependent and trapped, you didn't, feel like you could never be independent and free. That's the opposite, but it's the same. If, in fact, if it didn't matter at all, if there were no possibility that you would ever be judged for how dependent or independent you are, what would that make available? So feel into that. If dependence didn't exist, freedom didn't exist, if there were no such possibility of being one or the other or anywhere in between, right? If you could stop walking that line, who would you be instead? Who would you be instead if being dependent didn't matter? If you moved to a new planet and the aliens that greeted you and you said, hey, I like to be independent. Is that cool here? And they said, I don't know what you're talking about. That doesn't even make any sense, right? Like literally these concepts don't exist in this new world. Who would you be? So I'm going to feel into that. The energy that I'm getting for myself, if I weren't concerned about how free I am or not free I am, we have a client who loves this word. The word, what I felt was I was giggling. So I'm going to say giggly, not a normal one for me. So that's, playful, humorous. Let's see, is there anything else? If I'm not concerned about being dependent or independent or how free or not free I am, I would just be playful, right? I'd be connecting and playful. So like I'd be connecting based on play. And it would have nothing to do with depending on someone or being trapped, right? It would just be connecting for the sake of connecting and playing together for the sake of playing together, which really is how I like to do life these days. So that resonates for me. I'm going to circle connecting and playful. So what is it for you? If you could step off this line, right? If you're just like, hey, I have played that game long enough. I've been worried about my freedom. I've been avoiding being dependent, avoiding being trapped for long enough. And I'm just going to create something else instead, something that has nothing to do with any of that. What would it be for you? Here's mine. I'm Darla Ledoux. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you want to come play with us in your sourced energy and develop your business model that actually helps your clients to step off the old tired path, join us for our upcoming Sourced Magic Business program. This is an 8-week experiential program that actually shifts your energy field and helps you design a business that invites your clients to do the same. You can find out more about this in the video below. And if this sounds like anyone you know, right, afraid to be dependent, worried about how free they are, share this video, tag them, let them know you're thinking of them, and maybe co-create a new possibility together with them as well. All right. Bye, everyone.